together. Breathing deeply, and let yourself fall into a rhythm of breathing. So in for 4 or 5 seconds, hold it at the top, and then exhale longer than your inhale. Let your body just chill out. One of my favorite mantras now is, I bless this place where I now stand. Maybe repeat that to yourselves a couple of times here. I bless myself where I now stand. And as we bless ourselves where we now stand, we recognize where we are in this life, and we are present with all there is now. And as we bless it, we invite in a feeling of gratitude and acknowledge that the all there is, that the divine presence that moves in and through all things is present and working in and through us. And as it flows in and through us, we are sustained, vitalized, we are renewed, and everything that we need on the current path is ours. I bless this place where I now stand. Life is precious and phenomenal and fascinating. And as we move through life with courage and curiosity, we stay open to all the gifts that are present in every moment. So just breathe. Breathe and relax. We give thanks for this beautiful day. We give thanks for life, for love, divine love, for community. We give thanks for all the beloved souls that make this place the dynamic, loving, accepting, uplifting space that it is, for it is far more than brick and mortar. This place is a beautiful tapestry of loving souls, embracing you exactly where you are and also seeing you in your divinity, knowing you is not just a divine spark, but divine life itself, an expression of the divine. Breathe and relax. I bless this place where I now stand. all ground is holy ground. Every step we take impresses that holy ground for ourselves and for all humanity. As we shine our light, share our gifts, breathe and relax. This place of peace is our true north, our true home. The seat of all knowledge and wisdom and peace and compassion and strength and power, harmony, unity. This place of peace is our true essence. Yes, we bless this place where we now stand as individual expressions of God and as a collection of expressions. Each of you a vital part of the beautiful tapestry that is Unity Spiritual Center and humanity. So from this place of peace, we now sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer. Today's reading from the Daily Manifester, book 365 Neville Goddard Meditations for Inner Awakening. The altar of assumption. This is a Neville Goddard quote. Your consciousness is the only altar upon which you ever lay your sacrifice. And from Romans chapter 12, verse 1, present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God. The altar is not a table of stone, but the inner temple of imagination. Every assumption is a sacrifice of the old self. To present your body means to embody the new identity you have chosen in consciousness. Attention is the sacred fire. Belief is the offering. When you persist in feeling your wish fulfilled until it feels ordinary, the sacrifice is accepted. The ashes of doubt fall away, and the new man arises. Transformation demands letting go of the familiar. You cannot cling to limitation and walk in freedom. I love that sentence. You cannot cling to limitation and walk in freedom. To deny yourself is to deny disbelief. Worship is not ritual, but identity. Living as the one you have decreed yourself to be. Every reaction of fear rebuilds the idol of separation. Therefore, keep the altar burning with gratitude and assurance. As you walk in the new name, the invisible assumes visibility. And here's an affirmation for the day. I offer the old self upon the altar of faith. My new identity lives and moves through me. And an action for this day. When confronted with an old pattern, pause. Whisper inwardly, that belongs to who I was. Then act, speak, and feel as your fulfilled self would. And so it is.
Good morning, everyone. The inspirational moment today is from Listen, Beloved by Martha Smock, Resurrection. Does the idea of resurrection seem far removed from you? Do you know that you have been through many resurrections? If you have ever made a new beginning, if you have ever lifted up in heart and mind and spirit, if you have ever affirmed truth in the face of negation, you have been resurrected. Come on in. Jesus did not speak from a human consciousness when he said, I am the resurrection and the life, but from his Christ self. And he came to teach us that we too have a Christ self. In Colossians, we read, "The mystery which hath been hid for ages and generations, Christ in you, the hope of glory." Christ in you is the resurrection and the life. When you say, "I am the resurrection and the life," you are saying, "There is a spirit in me that is higher than my thoughts, a spirit that transcends my limitations, a spirit that knows my heart and mind and soul. There is something in me that is above and beyond the life that I am living at the present moment, something that says, you are better than you know." Ooh. Your life is more than a routine way of living. You are more than an ordinary person, performing ordinary tasks, living in a world where much trouble seems to prevail. You are spirit. You are continually rising higher. You are overcoming negation. The world that seems to be continually changing is not the real world. The world that is real is the spiritual world, the kingdom that exists already in spirit, in the spiritual nature of yourself and all people. You are spirit, living in a spiritual world, governed by spiritual ideas. We need not wait until the last day for resurrection. We are being resurrected now. We are being lifted up now. The purpose of truth is to help us consciously place our faith on the constructive side, to place our feet on higher ground, to lift up our thoughts and feelings by thinking of ourselves in the light of our true nature. If you seem down in the depths about anything, begin to affirm, "I am the resurrection and the life." I rise triumphant over every trial, and know that every time you affirm this, you are lifting your thoughts to a higher level. And we'll repeat our affirmation 3 times. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life.
Sometimes silence is the best applause. Yes. So, at the Richardson Methodist Cancer Clinic, they have many volunteers. And my favorite volunteer is the snack lady. So when you come in for treatment, the snack lady has a cart filled with all kinds of goodies, everything from cookies, Oreos and sugar cookies and raisins, cranberries, the craisins. They have the marshmallow treats and peanut butter crackers. And she goes around and she sees everybody, goes into the treatment rooms, because some people are there for several hours. And she dispenses her snacks. So I didn't realize that she only works, Kathy, my favorite snack lady now, is only there on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I always had treatments on Mondays, and then my schedule changed and I started going on Tuesday. And I would go in and I'd think, where's my snack lady? Primarily because, I want snacks. We all want snacks. And truth be told, so does another certain person who would go with me. And but I was there last week on a Wednesday for a special test, and Kathy walked in the building, and I was sitting right there, and she said, "Oh my God, there you are." And I said, "Oh my God, there you are." She came over, she gave me this huge hug. And I said, "Kathy, I thought you weren't working here anymore." And she said, "No, I'm only here on Mondays and Wednesdays." She said, "What happened to you?" I said, "Well, I'm coming on Tuesdays now." And I said, "Well, you can best believe I'm shifting my schedule back to Monday or Wednesday." Can I have that reading you had, Glenn? Okay. So, Glenna read about ordinary things. Let me find that passage. Life is more than a routine way of living. You are more than an ordinary person, performing ordinary tasks, living in a world where much trouble seems to prevail. You are spirit, you are continually rising higher. You are overcoming negation. I am the resurrection and the life. When I first read that in a book a week or so ago. Again, I was raised Catholic, for those of you who don't know. And the prospect of saying I'm the resurrection and the life out loud, I read it first and then I read it again and it resonated. And at some point I thought that was here for me now, that mantra, I'm the resurrection and life. And yet, because of my Catholic upbringing, I was kind of wincing when I said it. And I didn't say it out loud at first because I thought lightning is surely going to strike this building. I mean, the sun was out, but lightning can still strike. So, but I started to feel that I am the resurrection and the life. And I think this reading and this letting us know, reminding us that there is no ordinary task is important. Now, the snack lady on Tuesday and other days is different. I've seen her with the cart. I've never gotten any snacks from her. She's never come into my room to give me any snacks. I don't hold that against her, but she's got a totally different demeanor. Totally different demeanor. It's just her and her cart. Kathy, however, is resurrection and life by how she shows up in a very ordinary task. However, I know that especially early on when I was starting my health journey, that she brought me so much more than peanut butter crackers. When she smiled at me, when she looked at me, when she contacted me with her eyes, her beautiful blue eyes, I felt resurrection and life. Resurrection and life. Because there were days, and I'm sure there are for everybody that walks in that building, there are days when we're feeling something other than resurrection and life. And we need to be poured into by someone who knows, and I don't know that she knows what she's doing. Maybe she's just out pouring life and resurrection upon people simply because that's who she knows she is, and that's how she lives every day. She may not know how phenomenal she is, and that what she does has nothing to do with the cookies and water she gives out. The ordinary, what we think is ordinary, is extraordinary. You are extraordinary in your power. And simply by the way you show up, you can give life to others. And in giving life to others and shining your light, you become light for you. For you. Now when I say I am the resurrection and the life, I feel resurrection and life. Jesus was an ordinary man and extraordinary. Extraordinary in his being and his presence, and especially in his knowledge of who and what he was, which was one with the Father, one with God. That's where our extraordinary comes from. That's the spark, the fire of goodness that we are. We are so much more than spark. We are the fire of life, the expression of the divine here on earth. And when we express that in life, when we walk around in our ordinary task, with that fire all over us and through us and radiating out to everybody we pass, everybody we contact, then we set this world on fire and we set our own lives on fire. You are truly the resurrection and the life. And resurrection is not just about death and this one-time deal. We get to resurrect in every single moment. Resurrection is expansion in consciousness. If we're healing physically, it's expansion in the body, knowing that the God presence lives in and through and as every single cell of our magnificent bodies. That's the resurrection in the life. Those are not verboten words for us. That's a mantra to live by every single day. When you wake up in the morning, I am the resurrection and the life. I'm the resurrection and the life. As I was struggling with something this morning, and I use affirmations all the time because I'm always trying to expand this consciousness so I can have more joy, more peace, more freedom in life, and know myself as life and as this divine fire. So that when I am out doing my ordinary, that I am expressing that extraordinary that is the Christ self that each of us is. And so as I struggle with things, I can be in it. Again, I bless this place where I now stand. I can be in that, in the circumstances that are challenging me, and at the same time say, I am the resurrection and the life, and feel myself release that old self that I was reading about. Lay that down on the altar and sacrifice it and say, I'm done with that. Up until now, I was that. And now I am the resurrection and life. I am that God presence expressing every single day in every single moment. I am the God fire manifested and made visible in my life and in everything I do right here and now. We have to know that about ourselves. And the only way we get to know it is if we practice it, and if we say it, and if we remind ourselves and tell our brains, our personality, who we truly are. Because we get deep in the weeds of life. We get caught in the circumstances. We're moving around, dealing with the stuff that's hit the fan. We're dealing with people who are challenging for us. We're dealing with ourselves as we challenge ourselves. Lord knows I challenge myself a lot through the day. And I have to tell myself, I am the resurrection and the life. Calm down up here. Calm down. Remember who you are. When I'm not feeling physically well, I'm the resurrection and the life. Remind my body. Speak to my cells. Speak to my brain. Speak to my immune system. You are the resurrection and the life. And affirm that God presence that moves in and through and as us. Yes, it seems scary at first to say those kind of words out loud. I am the resurrection and the life. And it feels like we shouldn't. It feels like it's too big for us. And yes, there are many who would say, no, you don't have a right to say that. But there was only one man that walked this earth who can say that. And it's heresy to affirm that. In all of Scripture, Jesus never said to anybody, don't say that. He said, you are life. It's your faith that healed you. It is your faith that made you strong. It's not about me. He kept saying it's not about me. It's about you and your relationship with the Father, that you're one with the Father, that you are that divine presence. You too are the Christ self. Know yourself as that. Greater things will you do than I have done. Because he was teaching us the way. Know who you are is all he was ever saying. Know who you are. So yes, we are the resurrection and the life. give thanks for Kathy, that every single time she came near me, I felt that life from her. And when I saw her again, last week, I felt it again. I turned and looked at her, and it was almost like every cell in my body went, oh, God, yes, there's that light. And she came over and gave me a big hug. And again, shone those beautiful blue eyes at me and saw me. And in seeing me for who I am and letting me see her, we together were life. She affirmed that for me every single time I got near her. We have that kind of power. You have to know you have that kind of power. You were born with it. That's what you are. Again, you don't have to earn it. You don't have to go to a class to learn about it. I didn't have to read about it, but it reminded me, reading about it reminded me of that I am the resurrection and the life. I knew that through other words, other expressions, but to hear it like that, I am the resurrection and the life, was poignant for me. And I knew it was poignant because at first I couldn't say it out loud. And as I said it over and over in the beginning, in my heart of hearts, without saying out loud, I started to feel it, and the tears started to well up. They came right here, and I thought, oh, gosh. And I kept saying it, I'm the resurrection and life. I'm the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I'm the resurrection and life. Oh, God, thank you, I'm the resurrection and the life. I invite you to give yourselves permission to affirm things like that, to know your divine self, to discover it, to embrace it, to expand into it. It is an expansion. 99.9% of us never heard the words said to us, you are the resurrection and the life. It was always about somebody else. It was always about Jesus, not us. But what we've mostly been taught is the teachings about Jesus, not of Jesus. He's the one who kept giving us back our power. Most denominations are about building Jesus up, and we're just down here, little lowly beings, maybe trying to be that. But mostly we're told we're unworthy of being that. We're never going to get there, but you can aspire to that. Unity philosophy says we are that. That Jesus is the way shower, not the great exception, the great example. That we are that. We are that. You are that. You are. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And knowing ourselves as that frees us, uplifts us, gets us out of the circumstances and the weeds of life. Because you know how the weeds just get thick and heavy. And we're stumbling through our days trying to find the light, trying to feel the light. When we are carrying the light, we are the light ourselves. Able to burn down every acre of weeds we have in our lives with the fire of divinity that we are. I'm the resurrection and life. That same fire that Kathy is with her snack cart. We are. we too can give life and resurrection to everybody we meet simply by being in their presence, simply by seeing them truly with our real selves, our true selves. And it does free you. It frees me. But we got to practice it. We have to know it. We have to say it. We have to repeat it. When the weeds start to grow up again and they're tangling around our feet and we're struggling to get through the day, invoke it again, affirm it again. I am the resurrection of life. And say it over and over again until you feel it. Until you feel it. And it may take a while. It may take a while. Joe Dispenza says the language of the body is feeling, is emotion. That's what activates the cells of your body. These things, these trillions of things in our bodies that are listening to us. We can breathe life into our own bodies, into our minds, our brains. Teach your brain you are the resurrection and the life. You're not just this glob of stuff up here in my skull. You are the resurrection and the life, and breathe life into that organ. Breathe life into yourself, the life that is God, the life that is you. If you're not feeling it enough, you haven't repeated it enough. And when you start to feel it, then this thing that Neville Goddard was talking about laying the old self on the altar and sacrificing it, it won't happen until then, until you start to feel this thing. And that's when the old self lays itself down on the altar and says, I have no place here. I remember the day when I said to my diagnosis, I have built a container that is in perfect alignment with the divine presence. There is no room for you here. And I laid that down on the altar. There's no room for you. Go back to where you came from, wherever that is. Fizzle out. You are nothing now. So whatever it is you need to lay down, maybe it's playing small. Maybe it's not advocating for yourself. How we show up in relationship. The things that we accept but should not accept. Limitation and lack that we live in. Saying that we don't have enough, that we're not enough. Lay all that down on the altar and sacrifice it. By invoking, I am the resurrection and the life. I am divine love. Something I read this morning talks about that I am the great opulence of God. And I thought, oh, man, I am the great opulence of God, made visible in my use in every moment. And as I've said before, if your head starts to get big when you're invoking something like that, you're not in the right spirit. I am in awe and in humility, full humility, when I invoke things like that, when I affirm those things. Because I think, oh gosh, there's something in this grand universe that is love and loves me so much that it wants me to know how special and magnificent I am. That speaks life into me in every single moment, if I will open my arms to it. If we're going to keep walking around contracted in life, then you don't get the benefit of it. You don't feel the freedom. You don't get to lay down the old self until you say, I'm willing to lay down the old self and expand into something new. So think about the word that you chose for the year. Mine is audacity. Think about your word for the year. What if you breathed resurrection and life into that word you chose for the year, the word that chose you? What if you breathed life into that? Resurrection and life. That you are now going to expand in such a way into that energy that you won't recognize yourself anymore. And that old self that is out of alignment with that energy that you chose has to lay down and die because you don't have room for it anymore. So for me, audacity is an expansion, and I've had to expand in many, many ways into that energy. And so playing small had to lay down somewhere. I had to put that on the altar. And in moments when I'm called to expand, to be audacity in the moment, I have to lay down that energy again and remind myself I am not that. That is the old me. She has no place anymore. I've built a container that is in alignment with my Christ self. And the me that feels less than has to lay down and die. Release it, one of our powers, renunciation and release. That we can let go of things that no longer serve us. Let go parts of ourselves that no longer serve us and let it die. And bless it. Thank you for getting me to where I am now. We're done. We're done. Thank you for helping me give birth to something new, to someone new. I bless the place where I now stand. I'm going to be the fire I was born, created to be. So I invite you to test this mantra, I am the resurrection and life. And if it feels cattywampus, I brought it back. Feels cattywampus at first, sit with it. And keep testing it and keep saying it over again. Give yourself permission to live a new way, to be your expanded Christ self. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and life. It's important what you put after the words, I am. God is the great I am. And in that, we invoke, when we say I am, we are invoking the God presence that is us, that lives and moves through us. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. And when you can say it out loud, say it out loud. Say it loud, say it proud. I'm the resurrection and the life. I'm the resurrection and the life. Test the waters. We are magnificent, magnificent beings living in a magnificent universe that responds to our energy. Responds to our energy. The masters have been telling us this for centuries. That's why the powers that be, over the centuries, hid away some of those books that told us that, because they were afraid that we would know our power and not need them. We can't tell them how powerful they are, then I'll be out of a job. Maybe we'll always need our teachers, our gurus, the masters. But we have to know that our greatest teacher is ourselves. And this Christ presence, that is us. That is our greatest teacher. That is our greatest seat of knowledge and wisdom, is that which is and lives and moves in and through and as us. So yes, it's good to have the books, the teachers, the gurus, the influencers, but always, always check in with yourself, with your Christ self, with your resurrected and living self, and ask, what is it for me now? What have you for me now? And run to that. For me, in the last week or so, it was that mantra, I'm the resurrection and the life. And I've been holding on to that with dear life. Because when we open ourselves up, the perfect thing for you in the moment comes, shows up in the way that you need it, when you need it. It always shows up. So if you stay open, like I said, with courage and curiosity, man, the stuff will start coming. And every single day, throughout the day, you'll get another hint about some way to strengthen you and help you to be more resilient and more free and more loving and harmonious. And you have far less cattywampus happening. I have friends in my morning group who call it, they name it, and they call her Cuckoo Kachita. So we're often on our calls and somebody say, oh, Cuckoo Kachita showed up this morning and this is what it looked like. There are lots of cuckoo going on. And so for me, I am the resurrection of life, kicks her out of the room, kick her to the curb. She's out the door. Be still, know that I am God. That's my other favorite scripture. Be still and know that I am God. When I get still and I know that God is in and through all things, I am free once again. I'm peaceful once again. Yes. I am the resurrection and the life. Let's take this in a meditation. So again, if you have a word for the year, I want you to hold that in your consciousness. And if you weren't with us when we selected a word for the year, think of a word now, something that just comes up in your mind right now. Be open and curious. Ask, what do I need in this moment? And let that word just present itself to you. And I want you to appraise that. Just look at that. Hold that word in your heart. And breathe life into it. As you hold that energy in your heart, I invite you to say, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. Just let yourself sit with it, be with it. Let yourself be with it. Bless the place where you now stand. If you're uncomfortable, allow yourself to be uncomfortable. There's a reason why you're uncomfortable. And it's all good. You're in a place of discovery. Discovery is a beautiful place to be. And if you're not sure, I invite you to ask, how might I rise now? What needs to be resurrected in me? How can I breathe more life into my life, Spirit? Show me. Talk to me. Speak to me in ways that I can understand. Let me hear you. Let me feel you. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. And let's just have a few moments of quiet together. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe and relax and let yourself just be. Just be. We give thanks for the knowledge and wisdom that is God, that is this universe, that is us, available to us in every single moment so that we may have life to the full, so that we may have freedom. Freedom of mind, body, spirit, and heart. Peace always, in all ways. Jesus said, I leave you peace, my peace I give you. Peace is ours in every single moment if we will open our arms to it, invite it in, and hold it. So we say yes and thank you to all good things for the great opulence of God that is this universe and every single one of us. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.